Alright, and we're back. So, obviously, you see the character on the screen. Doing this today with my boy, Devin, or Akeno, I should say. So, what's up?
What's going on, guys?
I think Ram is a very straightforward character, but I think there's a lot to talk about. So, I think one thing is if Ram isn't on the top tier of the game, something is wrong with the game. I think this character has everything. I think she does everything well, but the meta of the game has just been changing so much that she's kind of falling in and out of top tier, and it's a little debatable on where she is now and what her strengths even are. So I guess I'll ask the first question. What are Ram's neutral? Talk to me about how good it is, and yeah.
All right, so everyone knows that Ram's best, her best thing is about controlling screen space. Obviously, everyone loves to hate these buttons.
Yep.
/5H, God buttons, amazing disjoints. That's typically where she wants to keep you. When it comes to faster characters, we're relying on her godlike 5K
Yep.
and 2K. But obviously, it can be matchup dependent depending on who we're fighting. Along with a good 2S that has a slight disjoint and really fast at 10 frames, which is really good. Obviously, the addition of Rock kind of helps out a lot. It mixes up our options. We can do /Rock, /Rekka, or just /nothing, because we have to keep everyone guessing. So obviously, that's going to be where she's at her strongest. She's definitely, like I said, really strong, but once you're in her face or you're able to get a hard knockdown, is where she's going to be really where she struggles, because I think her defense, aside from Mortabato, is some of the worst, with a 6 frame 2P and a standing 5 frame 5P.
Yeah. What about, so obviously, let's tie back into Rock. So obviously you're talking about Rock. It's obviously the new move Ram got in Season 3. So talk to me about the utility of it, how good it is, and when it's best used.
It's best used, obviously, to mix up your options.
Yeah.
It's really, really strong in the corner because people are already scared of sword toss as it is. So mixing in the option with Rock just kind of adds more alongside of Rekka.
Yeah.
Makes people really scared. People have to understand that as good as Rock is in neutral, the only time it's really working is when it's a counter hit.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time she's gonna combo into it. But if I'm just hitting you with the normal /5H, you're not doing anything. Right there, you could just neutral jump. So if you're close enough, I'll be able to do, even there, Garo will whip at times.
Yeah.
So at the further ranges, she doesn't really have many options, which is where people need to kind of get an idea of, okay, if I just stay here and I'm willing to block and neutral jump Rock, you're in a lot better space where you're not getting hit.
Okay. And I guess the next thing we'll talk about is, so obviously she didn't get any direct changes, but with the coming of the newest patch, some system changes happened, and obviously no more hard knockdown on walled assault. Would you agree that Ram benefited from that change, due to now it being more of a neutral based game after wall break, since people aren't just doing walled assault, walled assault, right? It's more you have to have the meter, and if you don't, you return to neutral, where Ram is pretty incredible at. So what do you think in terms of that change? Do you think it was a nerf? Do you think it was a buff? The same?
I think she pretty much stays the same. I think that just depends on character to character, to be honest. Because there's some characters that she does struggle with that, if I'm not breaking the wall with super, I'm going to have a harder time to deal with these characters. A la Chit, Milia, Giovanna, the characters that really with punish Ram well, she's going to be more of at a disadvantage just because they play around her buttons significantly better than others. As compared to a Zato, a Gold Lewis, where I'm okay with going back to neutral against these characters. I don't have to really fear for anything. I could play around specific buttons and stuff. But that being said, I think she's pretty much the same. I don't think she really gained anything from it, but I also do think being hard knockdown against specific characters, or like Happy Chaos as well,
Mhm.
where he's a character that you don't want to play neutral with just because he does have good buttons,
Yeah.
even though it is a slightly winning matchup for her.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Happy Chaos because again, I just did a video with Keishu, and we were talking, and I think every person I've talked to has mentioned Happy Chaos because I don't know, he's just so fucking broken. But what about okay? So obviously going into obviously with the addition of Rock, she did lose some things. So she got a I wouldn't know whether called a nerf or a buff. I'll call it an adjustment. Obviously her 214K, the flip, got an adjustment, kind of reworked, and then obviously she got a run speed nerf, which was, I think, something people have been complaining about since the moment the game, like, we got the game in our hands. So, why don't you talk to me about those two? And yeah.
So I think the biggest thing about flip kick becoming -2 is it gives the opponent a lot more to RPS with her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she still has really good RPS, so if I go into flip kick and you far slash right after, like, I could just 6P it, but obviously it's all RPS, so
Yeah.
if I just do this, you could 2K2D.
Mm-hmm.
If people learn how to dash block into it.
Oh, are you supposed to go over? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, so if you could duck it, if I do far slash 5H into 214K and you dash block into it, you can backdash it. You can get an IB off of it, which guarantees you a grab.
Okay.
So that being -2 makes it a little tough for Rams to want to use that button, even though it's good to throw out every once in a while to like check to see if the person's pressing anything.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I think it was definitely necessary, but also it's kind of a bad, not the worst tool she has, but
No.
it's more of a knowledge check now. Like, oh, do they know how to RPS with this button or this special move? And then the dash speed was definitely something that needed to be touched, in my opinion. No character that needed to be that fast. Her initial dash takeoff is still some of the best, like one of the fastest.
Yeah.
She still can cover a lot of ground fast, so I think it was definitely a well-needed nerf.
Yeah.
One of those things.
Okay. And yeah, no, the run speed, I think people were like celebrating all night when they saw that. That was, I definitely don't think it was something she needed, but honestly, with the way the game is now, I wouldn't even, like, if she had it, it would be like whatever. Like, I don't, there's bigger issues.
Sure.
We have Slayer in the game. Like we
got Slayer, we got Happy Chaos, I got top 3. Pago's still good.
So let me ask you this then, in your personal opinion, and I usually ask this later on, but with Ram, it's just, I think it's the most interesting to see, like, obviously from someone who plays the character, where is she? So obviously you have the top tiers, you have the high tiers, or like, the characters that can win solo, and then you have the lower characters, like the rest of the cast, right? The Zato, Baiken, everyone else, maybe Testament, and then you have like the high tiers. Obviously, I said the one solo in the top tiers. Where is Ram? Because I think for all this game's life, outside of season 3, she's always been a top tier. She's always been strong, always been so consistent. Obviously, wasn't outside of like Zondo, she wasn't like winning like offline tournaments, but she was just so like she was pretty boring to play for most people if you asked them who played Ram.
I agree. I agree with that.
But she was so strong. Like she did everything right. She checked all the boxes. So where is she now, in your opinion? And yeah, I'm curious.
So I definitely think she's still one of the strongest, like the stronger characters. Yeah. I think she's still in like easily top 10. Mm-hmm. I definitely don't want to give her the top 5 title. I don't think she's there.
Yeah.
But I think she's definitely like, she could be placed like 7th, 8th. I could see some of like 7 and 10.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those characters are just so interchangeable at this point.
Mm-hmm. And
with that being said, Ram is easily, like you said, one of the best characters since season 1.
Yeah.
She's just consistent. And I think with that being said, I think she is super, like, even myself as I play her, I think she's super boring.
Yeah.
even though I love the character. She's done a lot for me. I think she has people do need to learn like where to press things.
Yeah.
To like really learn how like all your options essentially, because at one point this used to be a true block string,
Yes.
so now it's not. It's easily 6P'able. Not only that, people are also just that's like a lot of her Rekka cancels are mashable,
Yep.
so people just really need to learn like, just go into the lab a little bit, kind of see when Rams are going to Rekka cancel. Like if I didn't have meter, like I'm forced to go into a Rekka cancel because Rekka 1 is -5. I'm most likely in the corner gonna do a sword toss.
Yep.
Or Rekka. That being said, she's still like one of the strongest characters in the game, where she just does unnecessary, like a good amount of damage off good hits. People just need to learn mixing up your options on defense against her is really the best. Dashing out, learning to dash block in neutral, because like I said earlier, what is she gonna do at this furthest range? Really, like realistically, I could rock her, but if you decide to neutral jump it.
Not Zato. He doesn't have a typical AD, but
yeah, so not Zato, but
yeah,
you're neutral jumping it. Like, what can I really do there? Like at this point, we're just resetting the neutral.
Yeah,
looking for Ram to make the mistake.
Yeah. What? Let me ask. So, I obviously just getting talking to some other people. Through these videos, it seems like the current meta is, characters that don't really need to break the wall. Right? Like, that's why you see Slayer at the top, characters like Mei, just, characters that just kind of kill you.
Yeah.
How does Ram, obviously you said she's, a top 10 character. She's not at where she, should be, but, she's still up there, right? Still a very strong character. Do you think this is the worst she's been in all of Season 3? So, obviously, the start of Season 3 where she got Rock, and then there was 3.5, and then now this current patch with the system changes. I believe in 3.5, I don't actually think she was the only character that they literally said in the notes, nothing has changed about this character. So, do you think that she's had a major fall off since, 3.0 and 3.5? Or is this where, is she, is this one of her strongest states? What do you think?
I think she's pretty much perfect where she's at. I don't think they really, aside from small personal changes that I would like, I think she's a perfect character as is. She's gonna be doing the things that she wants in the neutral. She's gonna be throwing out the big buttons, the fast K buttons. Once you have her on defense, I mean, you can pretty much keep her down because her 6-frame 2P is not the greatest. So we have to heavily rely on this.
Yeah.
Like I said, her greatest is not the best, but I think her offense makes up for it. It's hard to downplay a character that's been so strong for so long.
Yeah.
I honestly think she's really in a perfect state. If I could just do one thing,
worse though is what I'm asking though. Do you think from season 3 in 3.5 to obviously now, do you think she's worse than she was? She's had a fall off, or do you think she's she's better? Because I don't think we've seen Ram on a tier list this low in ever, right? So from playing the character, do you think she's at her weakest? Where what is it?
In hindsight, thinking of it that way, I definitely think she's weaker. She's not going to get the hard knockdowns that she really wants. We have to be more fruitful of our meter management. We can't just wild assault into wild assault hard knockdown, and then just have positive bonus just to loop everything. She's definitely weaker in that sense. I don't think we've seen her this low in years or ever, really. But that being said, in terms of gain strength, she's still easily one of the best.
Okay. And I think one of the things said about Ram is that she's very baby easy, right? 5-star character. Where do you think, so obviously, I think it's no debate, she's pretty easy to learn. But to win with and to master, how difficult is that? Is she still easy to learn, easy to master? Is she easy to learn, hard to master? Is she, do you think she's actually one of the more in the middle, like, difficulty characters, or one of the harder difficulty characters, or do you just think it's, like, true that she's just easy all around?
She's definitely one of the easier characters all around, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything that's like her hardest things that you really have to learn are the dash cancels. But other than that, like, nothing about her is hard.
Yep.
It's just super easy block strings.
Yep.
Keeping everything solid. I mean, even her wall assault combos, she only has like one difficult like wall assault combo, and that's just a super stylish one that no one's gonna use.
Gotcha.
Like, this character has been super straightforward the whole time. Especially in neutral, you don't really need to rely on too much 2S, / 5H, 5K on faster characters. She has one of the best 6Ps, in my opinion. One of the better 6Ps in the game. I don't want to say it's one of the best, but it's one of the better ones.
Of course.
But definitely easy.
Okay. And I guess one thing I'll ask you as well. So, obviously with a character that's this strong, but this easy at the same time, a lot of things are said about them, right? What are some things people actually misunderstand about Ram? Or something that people misunderstand, where they say something about your character and they're just like, usually, yo, that's just not true, right?
I mean, I could just go on a whole rant about like some of her like more interactable offense, especially in the corner.
I guess then let's change the question to what are some things, especially that you do in tower, where you use it and it's like, yo, like you gotta hit the loud, like this is, you can interact here, you can do this. What are some things people need to start doing more against Ram?
Okay, so specifically in the corner, your generic one, your close / sword toss.
6P-able.
People need a 6P-able. One of the things I want people to start learning is after this string right here, Ram has only a couple of options that she can do. Like, I could close slash into rock again. So something a lot of Rams do is they knowledge check you right there. So after this rock, I could close slash into another rock because people are just so like just thinking automatic +7.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, damn, we can't press anything. But after the second rock, you could mash on that.
Yeah.
Like, you could pretty much mash a far slash, 5P, 2P. Learning to like really look for rock in the corner when she's down her H sword is the biggest thing. Because once you kind of learn how to check rock, they're going to be way more mindful of when they're going to use it. Rock being a 30 frame or 31 frame startup move gives you a lot of like places to like press something. And if I get it, people are hesitant, well, you have Rekka, you have dash cancel. I'm like, well, if I'm going into this option and you're allowing me to do this option, why would I stop?
I'm trying to think any other strings in the corner that you can think of that people might need to, more people should RPS on or know about.
The more RPS-y ones is like when I'm super close to you like this, I do a Rekka cancel, you could 6P that. Any of her Rekka cancels are mashable.
Gotcha.
So even like Rekka to Rekka. Another thing that people need to learn is I'm gonna do far slash rock. I want you to 6P after the rock. So block rock and then 6P.
Oh, sorry.
That's 6P-able. Something that people need to like learn how to RPS with. Because if you're just gonna let me do this, I'm just gonna do it all the time.
Oh, sorry.
So learning to RPS in that situation, that like I do like to give counterplay to counterplay, which is something I'm always big on when people ask me, like, oh, like how do I do this? So like if I do that string, I could 6P or 2S. To beat 6P. So there is counterplay to it, but just learning your RPS with her after the 2S?
During the 2S, let me see.
You should.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you have options. It's just it's all RPS at that point. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
of
have to
course.
do anything after rock. If I 5k, you can still 6p me. You can 6p the far slash. I could 2s to 6p, but you could just backdash. But people just need to learn how to play around rock significantly better, in my opinion.
Of course, yeah. I mean, yeah, just a scary move in general. It's pretty hard to react to at times just because I think people are so focused on looking out for other things like
Yeah.
Rekka or sword toss. But yeah, no, of course I hear you. I can't believe this. I'm actually asking this, but because you would never expect to hear this when talking about Ram. But going into the next patch, what are some things, or maybe something like not system mechanic wise, but character specific, that you would want Ram to get?
I think the biggest thing for me is I mentioned this earlier. Give me a 5 frame 2p
Mm-hmm.
so I can mash on people dashing trying to grab me.
Yo.
That's the only thing I would ever ask for. To be honest, I think if we just gave her that, her defense becomes significantly better.
Yo.
Because if you keep me in a block string and I try to match 2p, you're going to give me a grab punish. Or if I press 2k.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would ever ask for Ram, to be honest.
Okay.
I know some people have been like, oh, like they should bring back Bull 214k because obviously she may be faster now doing it. Last patch she did have a bigger angle, like a arch to her jump, and it was significantly slower, where people could react and get a close slash punish on it.
Yep.
That one I'm okay with keeping away, but I can kind of see where they're coming from of like, okay, like bring it back because it's a slow move. You should be reacting to it. It's like it's equivalent to the Kai Fuja arc, even though Fuja arc was a lot faster.
Yep.
But just give me a better mashing button, to be honest.
Okay, so kind of help out her defense a bit.
Yeah, but everything else, she's perfect. Like they don't really need to change much.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to change, like take something away from her, I would understand the argument of some of her disjoint.
Gotcha. What about, so obviously, what are some matchups that you have played with Ram this patch where they don't feel the same? They don't feel as good. You're like, you play it and you're like, yeah, nah, this is way harder than I remember, or this feels bad.
I wouldn't say feels bad. Definitely struggles in is Chip. Chip is just one of those characters that he's constantly moving. It's hard to kind of get your hands on him.
Yep.
So if I'm wall breaking him like without super,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely in a fight for him backdashing, his 5H being broken.
Yep.
His 5Ks, his Rekka series, having to constantly RPS with him. I would like to say the same for Geo, but I think that one is pretty much almost identical. It's pretty much the same. Millie got significantly easier because she doesn't have hard knockdown wall break.
Yeah.
Happy Chaos, I think, has pretty much stayed the same. I think both characters having RPS is obnoxious.
Yeah.
But that being said, Happy Chaos doesn't even really need to break wall unless he has super, in my opinion. Like,
Of course.
when you have your wall slumps, why go for this?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
overall, I don't think there's like a matchup where she's like really struggling going back to neutral with.
Okay. So yeah, it's so weird talking about Ram. Like, you know, it's just because like, I mean, you can probably name like maybe she loses to Geo, or you know, maybe she loses to, I don't know, some other character that I can't think of, but
Mm-hmm.
she probably has the best matchup chart in the game, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's weird that she's this strong, but we don't consider her like stronger, you know? And
Yeah.
it's just like, it's kind of like the fall off, right? It's just weird. But yeah, and I guess I'll ask, in your opinion, what is, obviously you mentioned her weaker defense, and you know, we kind of talked about how she's not really playing the meta right now, just because like characters like Slayer just kind of kill you, right? For no need for a wall break, just kind of get you off the screen. What's holding her back in your eyes? Yeah, just curious. Like, what do you see with Ram compared to the characters you put in higher than her that she doesn't do as well as them?
I think one of the biggest things about the higher tier characters is they have significantly more health than her.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Rem is definitely one of the. I can't
Squishier
say she's
characters.
one of the. She's one of the squishier
Yep.
characters. She definitely dies to those characters significantly faster.
Mhm.
So we definitely have to be more mindful of how we're kind of using our meter management.
Mhm.
Because if we don't have bursts, like it's just kind of GG's.
Yeah.
Especially with characters like Slayer, like even Leo, Soul, where they get their hands on her, she's about to take like 75% damage.
Yeah.
Which granted, she could dish back, but it's going to take me 3 hits as compared to their 2 hits
Slayer's
or 4
one
hits,
hit.
depending. Yeah.
Slayer's one hit.
So she definitely has to be more mindful of like her burst management,
Okay.
because like I said, people are gonna, those higher health characters, they don't really have to worry about that as much as she does.
Of course. Yeah, no, HP is huge, especially with the conversation that I believe SQ started of should we be nerfing characters HP? It's such a big factor in this game, especially. Especially just with how some of those characters like Slayer win the game, right? How they kill you in this game. The HP that they have is pretty absurd, but you know, that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
What about I guess I'll lastly ask you, what advice would you give to someone picking up RAM that you wish maybe you knew earlier on, or you know, something that helped you, some piece of advice that helped you get through the stages of playing RAM?
The biggest thing I wish I had learned sooner was don't be over reliant on far/5H, to be honest.
Yep.
Like even though they're godlike buttons, like don't get me wrong, like if someone's gonna let you get away with hitting them, like by all means
Mhm.
keep doing it, but at the higher levels it's only gonna get significantly harder to hit them with those buttons. So like mixing up your options, dash 5Ks,
Mhm.
keep your combos super simple. You don't have to do anything fancy to get big damage. Pretty much learn how to like make sure you have your hit confirms down, because you know some things just don't work.
Mhm.
Like the occasional 5K Daro won't connect
Yeah.
on counter hit for some reason. 2K Daro will occasionally mess up, and it's a free punish because she's -10.
Yeah.
Just not being over reliant on her far/5H.
Mhm.
Learning to like just be okay with standing still.
Yeah.
Like just kind of playing this walk back game, the dash block game, kind of throwing your opponent off. Like they're like, oh, when is the far/slash coming out? When is 5H coming out?
Yeah.
Don't be heavily reliant on rock. At the higher level, people are going to be reacting to it. People will be IEDing, neutral jumping. Amelia could just Capel out of there.
Mhm.
Just don't be too reliant on those buttons, on those specials.
Got you. Okay. Kind of like she's one of the characters where she doesn't have to win going to you due to her
Yeah.
combos, obviously. So kind of sometimes the best thing to do is nothing.
Yeah, just kind of hang out. Characters do have to come to you. Like if I'm playing this game, like what's really gonna happen to me?
Of course.
That Zato could do. Like he can't do anything. He doesn't have a 5H. He doesn't have a far/slash that reaches this far. So like he's gonna have to be reliant on Eddie a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, and then especially knowing that he has a good like 6P, just knowing like your spacing. Like okay,
Mhm.
if I far/slash here, 6P will hit. So maybe a dash 2S will work.
Yeah.
So just being mindful of your spacing.
Okay, for sure. And I will put Akeno's Twitter on the screen. I'll put his Discord and his Twitch if he ever does decide to come back to streaming. I'll put those three. If you want, go hit him up on Discord. I'm sure he'll answer any questions about RAM or just anything about the game in general, of course. And obviously Twitter, you can go follow him, get in contact with him, and whatnot. But yeah, no, I believe that is everything. And thank you for watching.